My name is Irene Hale, and I turned 18 the night my family reminded me just how replaceable I was. Delaney's screams had been rattling through the house since noon. I heard a glass shatter 2 rooms away. Maybe the wine decanter, maybe another one of Mom's overpriced candle holders. Who cared anymore? Mom paced the hallway like a campaign manager trying to spin a disaster. She's fragile, Wendell. You know how she spirals. Do you want her in the ER again? Dad muttered something about damage control. Their voices blurred behind my door. I sat cross-legged on the floor, staring at a small chocolate cupcake I'd bought for myself that morning. 18 candles, 1 cupcake, 0 guests, and a silence that pressed hard on my chest. Delaney had just been dumped. That was her tragedy of the week. And apparently that warranted a full-scale emotional lockdown. Dad's voice cracked through the wall. We're canceling the celebration. Your sister is not stable. Like that. A memo. No conversation. No acknowledgement. Just another erasure. Another quiet burial of me beneath Delaney's meltdown. I didn't cry. Crying implies someone hurt you. What I felt was older. Colder. I packed a duffel bag. 2 jeans. 3 shirts. The emergency cash I'd hidden in the lining since junior year. I zipped slowly. Deliberately. Some goodbyes deserve silence. I stepped into the garage, where shadows dripped from the rafters. The security light blinked once, like a pulse, then died. I paused. A black SUV sat at the end of the driveway. Too new. Too clean. Not ours. My gut pulled tight. I moved faster. Inside the kitchen, a half-empty bottle of rose stood beside the trash can. I reached down to toss a wrapper and froze. My birthday cupcake. Smashed. Frosting smeared. A crushed envelope half-soaked in pink wine sat beneath it. My name scrawled across the front. I pulled it out with trembling fingers. The paper was thick, legal. Inside, a policy notice from Harrison Mutual Insurance. Term life. Insured. Irene Hale. Signature. Irene Hale. I hadn't signed this. My hands felt colder than the tile floor. I backed away, pulse thudding in my neck. They didn't just forget me. They were preparing for a world without me. No one sees you until you disappear, someone once told me. Then suddenly you're the whole story. I left through the side door. Didn't close it. Just walked. The night air was razor-sharp. Street lamps flickered, buzzed. My breath fogged in quick bursts. I made it to my car, threw the bag in back, started the engine. When I checked the rearview mirror, the black SUV was gone. But I knew better. I walked away that night, but someone made sure I was followed. The first thing I noticed about the room I rented in Phoenix was the silence. Not the comfortable kind. The kind that waits. That listens. For walls. A creaking ceiling fan. A mattress thin enough to fold in half. But it was mine. I stacked the duffel in the corner, peeled off my hoodie, and exhaled. 1 night down. 100 more to survive. The next morning, I started work at a 24-hour gas station off Van Buren. Night shift. Cameras in every corner. Plexiglass at the counter. Customers who looked through me like I was another vending machine. I liked it. No one asked where I was from. No one cared. A man once told me, freedom doesn't feel like flying. It feels like falling when you know the net's gone. I was falling now, but at least it was on my own terms. Day 3, 2:14 a.m. I stepped outside for a smoke I didn't light. Just needed air. That's when I saw it. A black SUV. Same model. Same dull shine. Parked across the street. Engine cold. But the passenger window cracked an inch. I didn't move. Neither did the car. Back inside, I watched the feed from our security monitor. The vehicle had been sitting there since 1:37 a.m. Never moved. Never flashed its lights. Just watched. I told myself it wasn't the same one. Told myself paranoia was just a souvenir from home. Still, I didn't sleep that morning. 2 nights later, it was back. I called the non-emergency line, gave the plates. 10 minutes later, the dispatcher called me back. There's no record of that license in the state database. Click. Escalation doesn't ask permission. It just knocks louder. Cut to scene. Tuesday morning. My bank app throws an error. Balance, $0. I blink. Try again. Frozen. I call customer support. 10 minutes of hold music that sounds like drowning. Miss Hale, it looks like a personal loan in your name was approved 2 days ago for $1,200 disbursed. The account is now closed and flagged for fraud. What loan? I ask. There's a signed authorization with your SSN and digital signature, dated May 6th. That's not my signature. We'll escalate to fraud review. You may receive a call from law enforcement. Cut. I sat in the break room at work, back against the wall, the smell of burnt coffee thick in the air. I looked at my hands. Steady, but something beneath my skin vibrated like live wire. When you lose control of your name, your face is next. I opened my email. Deleted folder. 17 items. One caught my eye. Authorization request. Silver Crest property release. My stomach coiled. I clicked. There it was. A scanned PDF. A photo ID with my face. A fake signature that mirrored mine exactly. The same slant. The same tail on the H. This was no amateur move. Whoever forged it had studied me closely. I forwarded the file to a burner Gmail I'd made back in high school. Then I deleted the message. Deleted the deleted folder. Factory reset my phone. You only need to disappear once before you learn how to vanish again. That night I saw her. Outside my window. A figure in a hoodie. Short. Same build. Same stance. She didn't move. She looked up at me. I backed away. Flicked off the light. Counted to 5. Peeked again. She was gone. Cameras? Broken. Footage? Corrupted. I asked the landlord if he'd seen anything. He shrugged. You kids live too fast. Maybe someone's following the wrong girl. Wrong girl. I stared at myself in the cracked mirror over the sink. My reflection lagged half a second behind my movement. The next morning, a prepaid phone arrived in a manila envelope outside my door. No note. Just the device. Battery in. Powered on. One number in the call history. Blocked. I didn't call it. I didn't throw it out either. On the back, someone had carved 3 words into the case with a box cutter. Stay in character. My breath caught. Then I laughed. Once. Hollow. The world didn't just want me gone. It wanted someone else wearing my skin. Whoever was calling me was calling from inside my old house. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound cracked like gunfire. The fan overhead ticked in uneven intervals. My phone lit up at 2:11 a.m. No message, just a flicker. Then black again. By morning, my throat felt raw. Not from screaming, just from holding too much in. I threw on a jacket, shoved my USB drive into my pocket, and left before the landlord started his usual coughing fit. By 9 a.m., I was back in Silvercrest. The guard at the gate didn't recognize me. New hire. Good. I said I was delivering documents for Wendell Hale. He let me in with a nod. The road up to our old house was paved in silence. Same trimmed hedges, same sterile perfection. But the windows? Empty. Closed. Dead. Then I saw it. A sign. For sale, under contract. I parked across the street. Walked up the driveway. No movement inside. But the lock had been changed. New key code pad blinking red. My name wasn't just missing from this property. It had been erased. At the real estate office, I posed as a potential buyer looking for homes in the area. A young agent named Evan handed me a portfolio. Funny, he said, flipping through. One just went under contract this month. Big deal. Private seller. House had a ton of interest, but the sister approved everything fast. I froze. Sister. Yeah, Delaney Hale, the younger one. Pretty sharp. Said her sibling was moving out of state and wanted to liquidate quickly. Younger one. I blinked. Actually, I said, could I see the sale file? He hesitated. It's confidential, technically, but I can show you the scanned release form, just the header page. He turned the monitor, and there it was. My name, my SSN, my digital signature, a photograph of me attached to the document, except I had never taken that picture. The hair was wrong, too short, the lighting too professional, my smile off. Can I get a copy? I asked. Evan blinked. Are you related? I forced a grin. Just curious. He clicked. The document printed. I grabbed it and left. Outside, I leaned against the concrete railing and stared at the fake version of me. Whoever did this didn't just want my name. They needed my face. Back in Phoenix, I drove straight to the legal clinic near the university. Sat for 3 hours before someone called me back. Miss Hale, the clerk said, flipping through the papers. You may want to speak to our fraud litigation advisor. A woman named Lila came out. Tall, gray suit, no nonsense. She scanned the files, then looked up. If this signature is forged, she said, you're in deep. Because as of now, you're the registered seller of a $500,000 property, and you've disappeared from all ownership records. I didn't sign anything. You'd need to prove that in court. Fussed. My chest felt tight. What happens if I don't? If this goes through, you'll lose any legal right to claim the house or its value. And depending on how the IRS views it, you could be listed as complicit. Complicit. Guilty. I swallowed. What about the photo ID? She zoomed in. There's no government seal. It's fake. Good fake, but still forged. I stared at the screen. That wasn't just a threat. It was a full impersonation. Lila paused. Do you know anyone who'd benefit from your disappearance? I laughed under my breath. You have a minute. Cut to that night. I walked to a 24-hour diner, ordered black coffee. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. At 11:03 p.m., I dialed the number I'd memorized since age 6. Delaney answered after 3 rings. Wow, she said, sweet. Didn't think you still had my number. Why'd you do it? Do what? You sold the house. You left. My jaw clenched. That wasn't your decision. She paused. You walked out, Irene. Someone had to take care of things. I felt my stomach drop. Who's living in my old room? Silence. Then she said, too soft. Why don't you ask her yourself? Click. Call ended. My pulse hammered. An email arrived 10 minutes later. No subject. No text. Just 3 images. 1. A girl in a hoodie standing outside my building. 2. That same girl checking my mail. 3. Her reflection in a window. Her profile. She looked like me. Not exactly, but close. Too close. Under the last photo, 1 sentence in block text. The family only needs one Irene. If someone wanted my life, I was about to see her face. I waited until midnight. Phoenix cooled just enough to move without drawing eyes. The kind of night that swallowed headlights and turned security cameras into blurred ghosts. I didn't go in through the front. The fence around the side yard was still loose from the last monsoon season. I slipped under it, cutting my forearm on rusted mesh. No time to bleed. The house looked abandoned, but one window upstairs still glowed faintly my old room. The code on the back door had been changed. I pulled out a stolen flathead, popped the panel open, crossed the wires. The lock clicked. Inside it smelled the same. Linen, lemon cleaner, and that faint sourness of wealth rotting quietly behind glass. I crept past the kitchen. The marble island was pristine, except for one detail. A coffee mug, still warm. Lipstick smudge. Same shade Delaney always wore. I moved upstairs, step by step. No creaks. My heart jackhammered against my ribs. The door to my old room was cracked open. A light pulsed inside my desk lamp. Dim, steady. I pushed it open. She was sitting in my chair. Same height, same posture, hoodie up, head bent over my old journals like she belonged there. She didn't flinch when I stepped in. "You're late," she said without turning. "I've been waiting." I swallowed. My voice barely came out. "Who the hell are you?" She turned, and I froze. Not because she looked exactly like me, but because she looked like what my parents probably wanted me to be. Hair perfect, eyes lined, calm, composed, controlled. She smiled. "I'm you, Irene. Just better at it." I took a step forward. "Get out of my house." Her head tilted. "This isn't your house. You left. You signed it over." I laughed, sharp broken. "I didn't sign shit." She pulled out a folder, slid it across the desk. "You did, digitally. Facial verification. Voice sample. You gave it all up." The paperwork was legit. The seals, the signatures, the timestamp, but I hadn't touched a single line of it. "I know what this is," I said. "You're a plant, a replacement, a fake." Her smile widened. "Call me an upgrade." "Who are you really?" She stood. Same shoes as mine. Same brand. I was adopted when I was 3. Different mother. Same father. Her eyes sparkled. "Wendell." I staggered. She stepped closer. "You weren't supposed to make it this far. You were supposed to run. Disappear. Fade." She brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. My ear. "But you just had to come back." I snapped. I grabbed her by the collar. We crashed into the bookshelf. Books spilled. My journals hit the floor. She shoved back. Her nails scratched my neck. We rolled. Hit the dresser. A lamp shattered. She reached for the drawer. I caught her wrist, something metallic inside. I slammed it shut with her hand still in it. She screamed. I pulled back, breathing hard. The hallway light flicked on. Footsteps downstairs. "Who's up there?" A man's voice. Deep. Not Wendell's. She looked at me. Blood dripping from her palm. "Security. I live here. You broke in." I bolted. Down the hall. Over the railing. Landed hard on the tile. "Stop." Too late. I hit the back door. Crashed into the yard. Tore across the lawn. Lights behind me. Footsteps gaining. I reached the fence. Climbed. Jumped. Fell. Rolled. Kept running. 3 blocks later, I collapsed behind a dumpster. Crouched. Silent. My hands shook. Not from the fight. From the truth. She was real. And someone in my family helped make her. She wore my name, my voice, and now she wants my life back. I didn't stop running until the sky bled into sunrise. My lungs burned. My hands stung. My mind refused to slow down long enough to process what had just happened. She wasn't a hallucination. She wasn't a coincidence. She wasn't a ghost of my paranoia. She was real. She was trained. And she was meant to replace me. That thought kept replaying like a broken reel. By 11 a.m., I sat inside the small legal clinic near downtown Phoenix. The AC rattled overhead. A receptionist typed with the enthusiasm of someone who hated her job. When I handed over my file, she stared a beat too long at the forged ID before muttering, "I'll get someone." Cut scene. A tall woman in a charcoal gray suit walked out. Her heels clicked with precision. "Miss Hale? I am Lila Reyes. Fraud litigation." Her handshake was firm. Her eyes were sharper than mine. We sat in her small office. A flickering fluorescent light buzzed above us, slicing the air into uneven beats. She skimmed through the documents. The forged sale contract, the life insurance packet, the fake ID, the loan approval. Her brows tightened. "This isn't random," she said. "This is layered. Purposeful. I know. Someone's using your identity for high-value transactions, and they're good." She tapped the screen. "Too good." She leaned back. "Tell me everything." So I did. Quickly. No fluff. Just blows. My family. Delaney. The estranged sister doppelganger. The break-in. Lila exhaled. "There's a saying, the worst betrayals don't come from enemies. They come from the ones who claimed you." I stared at my trembling hands. She pulled up the property records. Clicked. Clicked again. Then her face went still. "What?" I asked. "There's a trust attached to your childhood home. A living trust." I blinked. "Okay." "It names 2 potential beneficiaries. Me and Delaney." "No." She turned the monitor toward me. It listed primary beneficiary, Delaney Hale. Secondary beneficiary, Irene Hale, pending status, inactive. Contingency clause. If secondary beneficiary is deceased or missing for 90 days, assets revert to primary. I felt the air leave my chest. When did they add that? I whispered. 85 days ago, she said. 5 days after you moved out. 5 days. A slow-motion reveal hit hard. My parents hadn't just ignored me. They'd filed legal paperwork, preparing for my erasure. Lila tapped the clause. If you don't legally reestablish your identity within the 90-day window, the inheritance, and the house, transfer fully to Delaney. And if I do? I asked. You block everything. Your rights return. She slid the file toward me, which means someone has 5 days to make sure you don't show up. My throat closed. Sit tight, she said. We'll prepare a formal contest. You'll need to appear in person. I'll get the paperwork started. Cut. I left the clinic with a folder clutched to my chest. The sunlight outside was blinding. Too bright. Too mocking. My prepaid phone buzzed. Blocked number. I answered. A whisper. You should have stayed gone. Click. The street suddenly felt narrower. I ducked into an alley, pressing my back to the wall. My breath came fast, sharp. Something skittered near the dumpster. Just a rat. But I still flinched. I kept hearing my own voice in my head. Not fear. Resolve. A line I once heard and kept for nights like this. Sometimes survival isn't noble. Sometimes it's just refusing to go quietly. I wasn't going quietly. That night, I called my mother for the first time since leaving. She answered on the first ring. Irene, she breathed. I didn't think you'd call. Mom, I said, voice cracking harder than I wanted. How long have you known? She didn't ask what I meant. She didn't pretend to misunderstand. Her silence was the admission. I didn't know they'd go this far, she whispered. You have to believe me. I didn't want this. You let it happen. I was trying to protect you. From what? Being alive. A choked sound. Your father, he was desperate. Delaney found something. Something he did. She said she'd destroy him unless he secured her inheritance. So he chose her. She said nothing. And the other girl? I asked. The one wearing my face. Another silence. Longer. Heavier. You were never supposed to meet her. My skin crawled. Irene, she whispered, don't go back to the house. Don't meet with your father. And for God's sake, don't confront Delaney. That's exactly what someone guilty would say. I'm begging you. Her voice cracked. Something real in it. Something defeated. But I hung up anyway. Cut scene. At 2 a.m., I stared at the stack of paperwork on my motel bed. The trust. The forged documents. The deadline staring at me like a countdown to execution. 5 days. I tightened my grip on the folder. I wasn't just fighting for money or property. I was fighting for the right to exist. The line hit me all at once. I won't just fight for my name. I'm going to burn the whole lie down. I stood in the courtroom hallway. The smell of polished wood, low chatter, anxious breaths. Cameras with red lights blinking. A wall of glass separating spectators from those who decide fate. I clutched the audio recorder in my jacket pocket. In it, her voice. My voice. The voice of someone who tried to steal my life. The clerk called my name. I followed. No turning back now. Delaney sat across from me. Pale lipstick, perfume faint. The replacement, the woman who wore my face, was beside her, watching. Calm. The judge cleared his throat. Opening statements. My lawyer, Lila, spoke calm and cold. This case is not just fraud. It's identity theft, forgery, illegal transfer of real property. My client seeks immediate annulment of the trust and full restoration of rights. Flash. Cut scene. Delaney shifted, lips pressed thin. She glared at me. Outside the courtroom's sterile smell, like bleach and regret. Someone gasped. The recorder played, quiet at first, then the sound of water dripping. Then a voice, my voice, saying things I never said. Instructions. Sign here. Approve there. Sell it. Slow motion. The eyes of the jury widen. Delaney's mouth opens. No sound. Her face crumples. Behind her, the replacement stands frozen. Reveal. Cameras whirl. Notes frantically scribbled. Phones lifted. Cut. Moments later, officers escorted Delaney out in handcuffs. Her shoulder knocking the bench. Hard. The click echoing. The replacement. She vanished under the chaos. I closed my eyes. Breathed. Once. Long. Then opened them to the judge's gavel. Case dismissed in favor of Irene Hale. All papers invalidated. The trust trashed. Property reverted. Forged documents logged as evidence. I exhaled. The sound was louder than sirens. Flash to outside. Sunlight slices across the marble steps, spills onto my shoes. My mother appeared behind the guardrail, shaking. She screamed my name. I didn't turn, because I didn't belong there anymore. Cut scene. I walked off the courthouse steps alone. Every click of my heel felt like the closing of a coffin, the coffin that held my old life. I rented a small apartment, leased it under a new name, changed banks, new job, night shift, gas station again. Quiet, safe, simple. Yet even in the silence, I remembered. Sometimes the biggest wars are fought not with guns, but with papers. I threw the recorder into the trash, watched it vanish under swirling garbage. Goodbye escrow. Goodbye forged signatures. My phone buzzed. A blocked number. Ring. Silence. Click. I swallowed. The world felt colder, but calmer. I walked to the window. Outside, distant traffic, streetlights, and shadows. I lifted my chin. They tried to erase me, to bury me, to sell me for a price. But I traded nothing. I survived. And I rebuilt. Because identity isn't just a name on a paper. It's every scar, every whispered fear, every moment you choose to stay when they expect you to disappear. I didn't just fight for my name. I fought for my right to live. And in the end, I kept it. I closed the blinds. Let the night swallow the city. Because sometimes surviving means letting the world stay dark, long enough for you to find your own light.